hope you guys are having an amazing morning. This is Millionaire Brand Creation. I am super excited to have on a very special guest this morning, friend and team leader, Meagan Radigan. Meagan has an amazing background in PR, how to become your own luxury PR guru. That's the topic for today. And we're going to dive in. Meagan, how are you doing this morning? Ah, there you are.
There we are. There we
Yeah,
are.
how you
I'm
doing?
doing great. I'm doing great. I mean, birthday was yesterday, so feeling the energy and all the love still coming this way from that.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So take us back in the beginning. Where were you born? What was your childhood like? What got you into the entrepreneurial business?
Oh gosh. I was born in Nashville, Tennessee. Grew up between there and Huntsville, Alabama. My parents divorced when I was about two, so I spent half the year with one in one state and the other in another state.
Mhm.
Texas, Washington, Los Angeles. I lived in Arizona, Boston, you name it. So half of my year was spent with my dad, who is retired FBI, and it was very normal childhood. Hanging by the pool, pickup truck, driving to work, country music, and then the other half with my mother, and that was private jets and sports games. And so I grew up with two very different lifestyles, but learned to appreciate both of them at the exact same time.
So what did you learn from your dad being an FBI agent? Did he give you some skills in business that you have with you today?
Absolutely. So I originally wanted to be a profiler after college. So I have actually applied that quite a bit to learning individuals and clients and using those tactics to decipher people as I meet them and as our relationship develops.
Mm.
Hmm.
What have you learned most in regards to meeting people? Are you able to pick up on energies, on, their eyes, their mouth, the way they communicate? Like, how are you able to discern that? What are some tips that we can talk to these agents about that you learned?
There is a lot involved with the eye contact, of
Mm.
course. So, some people are just naturally shy, so they will look away, they'll talk with their hands, but certainly you don't come across anyone who you're looking to see if they're a serial killer or not. That definitely we don't, or we do want to apply. But really, it's just learning their energies, their body language, and everyone is completely
Mm.
different. So, as long as you are able to feel that you're connecting to them and you're getting through to how it is that your relationship is going to develop best for you both,
Mm.
just learning that everyone is a little bit different and being able to adapt to what makes them comfortable as well. So, that's really important.
And then what did you learn about your mom? What got your mom into that jet set lifestyle and, that lifestyle to begin with? What was your take on that growing up?
So my mom is an absolute hoot. She started as a model. She worked for NASA. She designed buildings all over the country and probably the world. I mean, every time
Hmm.
I talk to her, there's some new incredible story coming out of her mouth. She's very, very accomplished. So I definitely learned a lot of my social skills from her. My dad's a little more reserved and guarded. My mom is very friendly and very open.
Interesting. So did she
Yeah.
come did she come from money? Did she figure out a way to infiltrate those circles? What was it about her that made her unique other than her beauty, obviously?
So my mother actually came from, she's one of
Mm.
nine kids, in the South as well, from Alabama, born in Memphis.
Mm.
And my grandmother worked selling our foreign allies military weapons. So
Oh,
she was
wow.
another powerhouse lady. Grandfather was, I believe, captain of the Memphis police force as well. So she was a pretty tough gal, but became a model and worked through NASA, which is there in Huntsville, Alabama. And I think that she just really learned how to utilize her connections to advance everything that she wanted to do. She's one of those people
Mm.
that when she has a new idea and she gets excited about something, she will execute it to all of her abilities.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you learned that at a young age. So describe you growing up. So your mom and dad obviously divorced. What happened after that, and where did you go to, and how did you progress throughout your teen years?
So throughout my teen years, I spent half with my dad in Texas and the other half in Washington State with my mom.
Hmm.
And I was on every sports team you could think of, cheerleading, soccer. I was on a jump rope team, believe
Oh,
it or
wow.
not. We were the hot steppers. So yes, I actually was accepted to multiple colleges when I was younger. I really loved to write. So there was a competition in Texas where they had an essay, and the prize was sort of early admission as you would progress down the line to certain colleges. And I won that. So I was able to, I think, recognize that I could be athletic and I could be social, but my intelligence was also rewarded and encouraged, which was very important for me because I think that seeing two different types of lifestyles, you sometimes don't know which direction you should go. Do
Right.
you lean towards education? Do you lean towards the most social side? So luckily for me, both sides were very nurturing in regards to that.
Mm.
Hmm.
And then as you fast forward, obviously your stepdad is a very, very well-known guy. How did he come into
Yes.
you and your mom's life?
So, interestingly enough, when I was 16, I was a huge tomboy my whole life. I mean, looking at me now, a lot of people would never believe it. But I competed in Miss Teen Arizona pageant, which I went on to win. And I was presented a lot of opportunities for education.
Mm.
I've always believed that if something is put in front of you, right place, right time, I always take advantage of opportunities, whether they turn into something or not. So I was provided a generous amount of media training, public relations, marketing, and really ran with that. So that led me moving to LA,
Mm-hmm.
movies, TV, music, and was realizing that I was doing PR without realizing I was doing it. So
Ah,
my entertainment lawyer at the time said, you could be making money by doing this. You are guiding careers of celebrities who have people like that on staff, but you're giving them better advice.
yes.
So fast forward to I actually introduced my mom and Bob at an auction here in town when I sold one of my vehicles. I said, you guys are perfect for each other. They totally are. They were an absolute connection meant to be.
Yeah.
And how I transitioned from LA, I came back to Arizona because I was running a lot of their entertainment side of things at the racetrack. So that meant bringing Housewives of Orange County, 50 Cent, Fast and Loud with Richard Rawlings. If there's anything media and PR wise going on at the track, that's where I came in.
So tell us more about that, because I know some people
Mm-hmm.
are obviously familiar about, the racing business and what it was,
Mm-hmm.
but why was your stepfather such an icon, and why were people like 50 Cent and all these people wanting to be like Christian Bale, all these
Yes.
A-listers wanting to be a part of his life and learn from him?
So there's so much to his history that I still learn on a daily basis. I mean, yesterday someone posted something on Facebook who was a son of another well-known race car driver who had passed away, and I continuously just learned history and facts and races and all
Right.
sorts of amazing things. But essentially, in a nutshell, Bob was a part of that group along with Carroll Shelby that created American racing and really put that on the map and gave Ferrari a run for their money for the first time. So he was one of the last remaining of that group. And by having the ability, like you said with Christian Bale for Ford versus Ferrari, to have Bob Bondurant himself take you on the track and teach you how to drive the car you're going to be driving in the movie. I mean, I have chills just like thinking about that. It was
Because he taught Christian
just
Bale for the movie, right?
correct. Yep.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Was he
Yeah.
was did he have his own character in the movie, or was he,
Yes.
he
Mhm.
who was the actor that played him?
I don't know the name of the actor, but they mentioned multiple times, probably 4 or 5 times, like, "Oh, there's Bondurant," or "Hey,
Nice.
Bob, how's it
Nice.
going?" And
Yeah, yeah.
it's just funny that during the movie, during the premiere, every time they'd say, "Hey, Bondo," and Bob would be like, "Yes," in the theater. He's like, "That's me," and everyone's like, it was an unbelievable experience.
So having someone who's obviously a national icon and part of an international circuit, A-list celebrities come to you for racing. I mean, he helped train Paul Newman, correct, in certain ways.
Correct.
I
Hmm.
mean, true A-listers and icons, anything to do with film, he helped them drive and things like that, right? But what
Yes,
did that do for
absolutely.
you as a young girl? So obviously you're familiar with the LA scene, you're familiar with the celebrity scene, you understand the importance of celebrity and PR and bringing
Hmm.
celebrities to the racetrack. What did you learn about being in that, arena and that sphere that helped you become a better businesswoman?
Honestly, I think something that was important for me was being able to recognize that there's always an opportunity to learn from someone else.
Mm,
So, as much as you can think that you're an expert in something, there's always something more to learn. Mentors always need mentors.
mm,
So, I think that for me, the ability to quiet myself and to actually absorb information instead of getting caught up in the excitement of things
yes.
really, really helped my knowledge within multiple industries and learn a lot about myself as well.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I was on a call with Shaquille O'Neal. He was talking about how he became successful in, in the financial industry. Obviously, he's a
Hmm.
business tycoon now after playing basketball. But what he said is, he said, I'm really not that intelligent, but I was smart enough to realize through mentors like Magic Johnson, who's also a very smart business person. I got to ask a lot of questions. And when I don't understand something, I got to ask someone that understands it and ask a lot of questions. Did you ask a lot of
Absolutely.
questions in those circles? Were you always out there with like a pen and paper or a mental, photographic memory, taking down moments and learning?
Very much so. And one thing that I did learn is that when you come across a genuine person who actually has knowledge that you are inquiring about, they have no problem sharing that knowledge with you. If
Mm,
someone says that you can't learn something or you can't be taught something, it's because they don't know how to teach you that. And that's the difference.
that's
So
very
being
cool.
very careful about who you're surrounding yourself with, and again, back to those energies. Are they wanting to help you without something in it for them? Because that knowledge that you don't have, by being able to absorb from them, I think is incredibly important. But again, it's being able to quiet yourself and to be able to learn and not be afraid to ask the question. I have no problem admitting I don't know everything. I sometimes like to think that I do, but when I don't, I have no problem asking that question.
Symbiotic relationship. So
Mhm.
when you were doing a lot of the PR for Bondurant. Is that what your role was coming back here? Did you have your own PR firm? How did you acquire your clients here locally and beyond?
Yes. So I have always specialized in luxury primarily. So yachts, jets, race cars, hotels, high net worth individuals. My entire life, I have been very, very blessed to be surrounded by very successful individuals within multiple industries. So coming back to Bondurant originally from LA was focusing on the entertainment side of things. But given my law enforcement background, I actually ran some of the military and law enforcement training there as well.
Mm,
Hmm.
very interesting.
Yes.
So obviously you had your hands full doing what you were doing, bringing people in and doing the law enforcement, the entertainment, and all that stuff. Did you have clients outside of that sphere that you helped assist, or was that your
Very, very much so.
you helped
Yes,
other clients as
absolutely.
well? And so,
I did.
how would you procure clients? Like, how would you go out and say, "This is what I do"? Because I think a lot of agents and entrepreneurs listening in, everyone is afraid to promote themselves, right? Everyone's afraid to put themselves out there and be rejected, right? But you're smart enough to realize, like, you're in the room, you're in the circle with Paul Newman, Christian Bale, like all these top people that people would kill to be in the room with. How did you have the foresight to say, I have a skill that they might need, or their friends might need, or their acquaintances might need? How did you put yourself out there to acquire those people in your life?
So I think something that's really important is that there's a difference between PR and marketing, right? There
What's
are
the difference?
different. So, I mean, say for example, PR, you represent the brand as a whole, you gather press, you create a positive public image.
Mm,
Marketing may be more focused towards advertising. It's more of an ROI, right? It's numbers goals. So there's things within that industry that, I mean, I will admit I do not know when it comes to graphic design and other things like that. But as far as at the end of the day, your public relations, not just for a company, but you, how does the public perceive you as an individual? So when it comes to meeting people, as you know, agents are often like, well, where do I find clients? It is getting uncomfortable and putting yourself in positions that you don't traditionally end up in. Now, for me, I recognize that I was often at events and I was at fashion shows and charity galas, things like that. So by utilizing the connections that you already have, being able to start a or interject with what you do into a conversation, but not letting that dominate the conversation
mm,
either.
mm.
So it's yes. So even a phone call, hey, do you want to grab lunch this week? And it could be with a very well known celebrity. Absolutely. You know what? I'm showing a couple houses in the morning, but let me get back to you. Oh, you're in real estate? Absolutely. Next thing you know, you develop a relationship. And then the more that you bring that up gently, you're not dominating the conversation. Let me sell your house, that kind of thing. It's again back to energies. How are you reading people? Noticing when they're getting comfortable. Are they inquiring? Are you pushing? And so just being able to utilize my the events that I was already at. So for people who are uncomfortable with that, focusing on where is it that you feel the types of people that you're wanting to meet. Where are they? And how do
Mm,
you be a part of that? So now, obviously, I'm no tax expert, but there are often ways where you attending a seminar or an event, that could be a way for not only a write-off, but you're interjecting yourself and having a lovely time, but you're potentially meeting lots of clients at the same time. So strategically planning out your day and where you're going and why is very, very important.
I think proximity is power too. I mean, being in the room is probably the most important
Mm-hmm.
thing, because if you show up, you're consistent and you're consistently in the room, people of power or people that you want something from are going to notice your face. And the first
Yes.
time they may not recognize you, the second time, but the third, fourth, and the fifth, they're going to reach out to you and say, "Who is that girl who's always in the room? Who is that person? I want to know more
Mm-hmm.
about them." And I think the biggest mistake people make is they don't see the deposits that consistency makes into the psyche of potential clients and friends, right?
Absolutely.
You showing up, you doing exactly what you said you're going to do, pays dividends far into the future that people don't realize it paying off. And I think that's
Yes.
an
Very.
important aspect that you talked about too. So the other thing I like that you talked about, I was having this conversation last night about how do you attract desirable people into your life, right? You're a good looking, beautiful woman. I'm a decently above attractive looking man, right? How do you attract these people into your life? We were talking about
Right.
dating protocol. And the thing I love about relationships is I think dating protocol is the exact thing of how to procure a client, right? And what people don't realize is they try to understand dating, and we'll use this as a simile approach, right? Where, oh, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to go with all my girlfriends or all my guy friends and meet people. And I said, you guys don't understand how that works. If you go out in a group, a very attractive guy is going to be intimidated to approach four beautiful women. And you may not be the most beautiful woman in that group, right? So you are not going to get the amount of attention that you should have. As a group of four men, if a beautiful woman sees you and says, "Oh, wow, that person's attractive," but you're outshined by someone more attractive, you're not going to get, the same dynamic as well. And so business is also a singular play in the fact of you need to put yourself in the room, also in the setting that is best conducive and most attractive to your brand. And I think that's what a lot of agents and entrepreneurs do wrong is they don't set themselves up for success by putting as many successful people around them in their sphere, right? The marketing or the PR aspect to say, this is my peer group. These are my equals. These are my friends. These are the people I want to associate with. And they allow too many people that aren't where they want to go infiltrate their life and therefore hinder their business ability. Have you seen that in your business?
Absolutely. I see it quite often. And so, again, it goes back to, like we said, picking the people that you surround yourself with. So, having people who are often encouraging for you as an individual. I mean, I will, back to like the group setting, right? So, I will
Mm,
invite friends to events. Some of them that I know may be a little socially awkward or not big on public speaking or meeting new people. I have no problem not talking about myself and encouraging whoever is there, knowing that this is something that they need to grow, right?
mm,
They want to be doing. They want to be there. They just need someone to kind of assist them a little bit. So I think that that's super important, is surrounding yourself with, whether you're in a different industry as the person that's next to you or not, but at least being able to recognize who is there in needing you and your services, or your friendship and your relationship, and how recognizing that when it's your time to kind of dial things back and encourage others to speak. And that happens every single day, and the groups that you surround yourself with. But also, don't be afraid to do things by yourself.
100.
There's so many things that you miss out on because you're like, well, I don't have anyone to go with. Well, go anyway.
You got to curate the opportunity, and you probably knew this being in LA. I'm a firm believer in everyone should have a list. They should have a list of people that they want to meet and they want to do business with or they want to interact with. And every person is accessible. I don't care how high they are on the list. If you pay enough money, if you know the right person and you have the right opportunity, you can get in front of them. And that's what people don't understand. I had a buddy of mine who loved Brad Pitt. He wanted to meet Brad Pitt. He would do anything to meet Brad Pitt. So how did he do it, right? He was telling me how he reversed engineered. It took him 2.5 years to meet Brad Pitt. And what he
Okay.
did was he was from here. He went to LA, and he really started to get into. He says, okay, who represents him? Who's his publicist? Who's his agent? Who's this? Who's that? Who's his brother? Who are the people that I could have access to that may not, be as accessible as Brad Pitt, right? And what he found was his entry point was Brad was really into philanthropy with children and things like that. And he had one specific organization that he donated a lot of time and money to. So what he did is he got on their donor list and started showing up to all these donor events around the United States and beyond and started donating to the cause, right? And before long, about 4 or 5 events in, he got to meet Brad Pitt and made that connection to where he got in front of him. He established the commonality. And now if he were to talk to him again, at least he would know who he was. And that was a worthwhile connection.
Exactly. It could be that little tiny moment where it's, hey, Brad, I'm so and so. Lovely to
Yep.
meet you. Hey, I know you're busy, but just wanted to say, appreciate you supporting the cause. And seems like we're on the same page. Have a great day. Well, the next time that event rolls around, who's he going to look at and see the face and go, wait, we met last time,
Right.
right? That can
That's right.
spark a conversation.
Yeah. Consistency is paramount. And I think that's what so many people do is I remember when I started, I don't think I ever told this story. So this is funny you brought it up because you would know it being in LA is when I got into real estate business, I thought, who are all these real estate agents on TV, right? Josh Altman, Madison Hildebrand. This is when Million Dollar Listing LA came out.
Oh, yeah.
And so when it came out, I think it's been on the air for 15, 16 seasons now, but this is about 10 years ago. And I was just getting started in luxury. And I thought, it would be a big coup would be to actually meet these people and know them and get into the same social circles as them. And so what I did is my mother lived in Newport Beach at the time. And I used to go up to Beverly Hills when I was visiting her every weekend and show up at open houses. And I would go to open houses in areas where they knew they were, listing properties, and I knew who were on their team, and I'd start asking questions, right? And I used my mom as a shill, maybe that you've done with your mom a few times, a potential buyer who has the means and all these things. And I wanted to get her into these properties. Well, it wasn't too long where they had an open house, and before I walked in, they said, "Hey, we're filming for Million Dollar Listing Los Angeles. You have to sign this waiver if you walk in." So I've been on Million Dollar Listing LA 4 times. People don't know that actually because I have these little short cameos. And it was just because I was putting myself in the proximity of that opportunity, right? So I got in
Exactly.
there. I met Josh and Bobby first when they were still married, and I met Josh Flagg, and when I was in there with my mom eating a taco and one of the one of the season things,
Your big debut,
my
eating the
big debut
taco.
on national television, and then they were here as well, and they also had a deal in PV where a friend of mine had a $14 million listing in Paradise Valley, and they had a deal here that we filmed at, and we had a larger segment there. But what was interesting is meeting Josh Altman. So a buddy of mine locally reached out cold to Josh Altman about 7, 8 years ago, and he gave him business, right? He gave him deals, and for his
Great.
40th birthday, he and his wife Heather out to his birthday at the Scottsdale Air Park. Spent a lot of money, private helicopters, etc. And Josh was his one of his friends that he invited, right? So I talked to Josh, talked to Heather, got to know them a lot more, and I also got their contact information, their mobiles, etc. And what I did, which a lot of agents listening in, you could do this too, is in big deals they close that I saw on, PR releases, etc. Like Josh closed the Razor House in La Jolla for $20 million, which at the time was the largest sale in La Jolla history. I'd text them and say, "Hey, congrats on the Razor sale. It was a beautiful house. Keep up the good work." Just little deposits, right? Not asking them for anything, not doing anything, just making sure that you were top of mind so he knows who this crazy person is texting them. And the agents listening in, anyone can do this. A year passes, and a buddy of mine in philanthropy has an opportunity to sponsor a table at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel in Beverly Hills. And the table he was telling me is I think it was Los Angeles Children's Hospital or something like that. And they were honoring Al Pacino for a Life Achievement Award. And he said, "Do you want to go to the on with the table with me?" And I said, "What does it cost?" Like, "Oh, it's a couple grand." I said, "Done." But he said, "Here's the caveat. The only way that you can come and that you will be allowed to sit at the table is you have to bring a celebrity with you." And I'm like,
Ooh,
shit, that's a hard ask, right? It has to be
challenge accepted.
that's a tough one, right? Because not only do you pay to get in, but you're in a sea of A-list celebrities. How do you bring someone that makes sense? So my buddy, who he brought was Stephen Bauer, who was Al Pacino's a co-star in Scarface. I don't know if you remember that
Okay,
movie. He was the tall,
very much.
slick, cool guy. That was Al Pacino's sidekick with Michelle Pfeiffer in Scarface. So my buddy brought him. I don't know how he scored that deal, but he met Steven in a couple years before in LA. And I'm going through my Rolodex. I'm like, wow, how am I going to get a celeb to go with me to this event? Because I have to go. And I'm like, bingo, I got Altman's number. So I called Josh and I said, "Hey, Josh, it's Mike. I don't even know if you remember me from so and so's birthday. We met a few times, da 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 da. I got this great opportunity." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is it?" I said, "Well, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, and Sylvester Stallone are hosting a dinner." Now his ears perk up, right? Because he's
Right.
like, "Oh, these are my clients. These are the people I want to do business with." What I didn't know is he was trying to sell Sylvester Stallone's house at the time, and Sylvester wouldn't give him the listing. And so I said, "Now I have an opportunity that I'd love for you to come at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, but you got to, be my guest, and you're welcome to bring someone else." So initially, he was going to bring his wife. He brings one of the developers on the $1 Million Listing show. He says, "Yeah, okay, I'll be there." And I'm thinking, shit, if he doesn't show up, I'm screwed. I can't get into this deal. So I'm there,
Right.
I'm sweating. I don't know what's going on. And, I show up and I text him. I said, "Hey, are you coming?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there." He's kind of going dark. He's ghosting me, etc. And 5 minutes later, he says, "Yeah, I'm pulling up to the valet now." And I walk in with him. And because at that time, it was just the initial release of that season of the show, the gates opened, and talking about PR and marketing, everyone's, "Oh God, who is this guy? Who's Mike? Who's this? Who's that?" And that gave me entrees to meet, Sylvester Stallone, all these people, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, all these people. But it's a great example of how anyone can get access if they're smart enough to re-engineer that process of how people use social currency to create a larger, business model and thing. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I know you have such an adapt ability for PR and for marketing and getting into the room and making a difference, right? Is there a story like that you could share with the audience that they can learn from and maybe take and do themselves? I'm sure you have a ton of them.
Well, I do. I definitely have a ton. But one thing that I think is really important that you pointed out is you didn't have the fear to reach out to him. And also at the same time with him, that's an excellent PR opportunity for him.
100%. It's got to be a
He
win-win.
is at a charity event that is giving back to a worthy cause. He's surrounding himself with these exact same people. So recognizing those people that you can play off of is very, very important, because at the same time, yes, you got in because you knew him, but he also was presented other opportunities because you did reach out.
It's important for
So
people to
yeah,
know that. And I think so many people are so afraid to take that shot and lose. Where if you just put yourself in the room, which you've done so well your whole life intelligently, amazing things spawn from those opportunities. You know, and,
absolutely.
yeah, and you being in that business, do you have an anecdote or a story that you could share with the audience that really, you pinched yourself in a situation where, like, how did I even get into this opportunity? Is there something that you learned, you saw, maybe something you could share with them that they could implement in their lives?
Well, I think there's quite a few stories that unfortunately I definitely can't share the names of those people or the exact situation. But for instance, once many moons ago in LA, there was a gal who was a very well known celebrity at the time. We were at an event, a little bit of an after party. She was looking slightly disheveled.
Hmm.
So upon her exiting, I had just spent, an hour and a half getting to know more about her, which was very surprising to me because considering what the media had portrayed her as, I had a totally opposite opinion at the time, but I wasn't going to clearly hold that against her. I was
Right.
wanting to learn about her. So upon her getting ready to leave, she had, hair sticking up, and not that there was anything crazy that she was doing. It was just dancing, and she looked a little messy, which I
Right.
knew the paparazzi outside was really wanting to go for. So she's getting ready to leave, and I jump up and I say, "Hey, 1 second." And her security looks at me like, "Okay, are you gonna? What's going on here?" I go,
Yeah.
"Just quick, this," and the mom thing, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
wipe this off. I'm like, "You're good to go, girl." She walks out the front door. The photo the next day in the paparazzi is something about traditionally looking disheveled celebrity name, looking much more polished, leaving an event. Is this a new turn for her?
Mm.
So because I just did not want her to walk out looking like that, because when you enjoy someone's company, don't let them walk around with things in their teeth
Right.
and looking
Right.
all crazy, right? So her security said, "That was really, really sweet of you. What's your name?" I told her my name. 2 days later, Facebook, I get a message. "This is
Whoa.
so and so security guard. Just wanted to say thank you again. She would like to take you to lunch."
Wow. I love this stuff. See, this is the
I
stuff I
know.
wanted to hear.
And again,
Yeah.
chills. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here
Yeah.
like, wait, she wants to go to lunch with me? Like, what is happening right now? And that was literally it. Was, "Oh, tell me about yourself. Where are you from?" She was so sweet. And again, the total opposite of what I was expecting. And hey, next time, can I ask you an opinion? I'm doing this fashion show. What do you think I should wear? This or this? And was showing me photos. And I'm sitting there going, am I becoming a representative for this person
Mm.
just out of the goodness of availability and trying to give an honest, genuine opinion about what you should and should not be wearing to a
Yeah.
specific type of event,
Yeah.
to turn around her image, because she said, "Thanks to you, apparently I'm turning a new leaf."
Mm.
So that was great. A couple days later, knock at the door, giant Louis Vuitton bag arrives. "Thank you
He
so
bought you a
much
Louis
for all of your
Vuitton
help."
bag.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's
All
awesome.
because I fixed the girl's hair. Like, that was
That's
it. At the end of the
awesome.
day, I helped the girl out, and that actually ended up leading to quite a few other opportunities for me in LA. And my entertainment lawyer at the time, like I told you, was music and TV and film myself. He's like, "Megan, you know that you could be making money off this and not just purses. Like, you're
Right.
good at this.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on something that you naturally have an ability for, whether that's communication. What are you known for? Are you the smiley person? Are you the fun one? Are you the animal person? How are you interjecting what is your everyday most authentic self, interjecting that into the situations that you get into, which I think is very important, because people get caught up in trying to create an image for themselves
Yes.
to set themselves apart in an industry, right?
Right.
But when you create something that's not authentic to you, you're often holding yourself back, and the
Mm.
people who could be making a difference are going to see through that, and it kind of spirals from there. So maintaining your authentic self and being true to yourself, recognizing what you do and do not know, and looking to grow and looking for others around you that want to help you grow as well, will ultimately get you on the path that you need to be to reach your goals.
Yeah, I love that. See, this is what I love. I love hearing the stories and the anecdotes, how one thing leads into something else. And it's funny because I'm a firm believer is whatever the cost, whatever the moment, you have those goosebump moments where you're like, whoa, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I need to really seize it for all it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because I was talking to a good friend of mine who's good friends with Dean Graziosi. Do you know Dean? He's a local guy. Dean is
Yes,
a
sounds
20,
familiar.
yeah, he's a 20% partner in Tony Robbins Incorporated. So he owns a
Okay.
fifth of all of Tony's revenue, basically. And he has direct access to Tony Robbins. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, super wealthy guy. I mean, he makes probably 200K a month in passive income. And he was telling me, he says, one of the biggest regrets in my life, looking back, wasn't business. He said it was not spending the money and taking the opportunity to meet influential people when I had the opportunity to do so. He said, I had an
Absolutely.
opportunity 10 years ago. Dean called me up and he said, Tony, Ed Milet, all these like big name people, past president, some other people, were going to Necker Island. And, we're taking a private jet in like 2 hours and it's going to cost you 50 grand. Do you want to go? And him getting started and starting off said, oh, no, I can't. that's too much money. I can't afford it. It's not worth it. And I'm thinking, shit, if I didn't even have the money, I would borrow it to go be on that plane. And
Right.
he said, the biggest thing I regret is out of that experience, they spent 8 days on Necker Island with Richard Branson. Tony and Richard did a JV deal because of that trip. And all these other guys were there away from society, talking about business, talking about relationships, talking about all those things. And he said that failure to spend that 50 grand of money I didn't have at the time probably cost me millions on top of millions of dollars. And what I stress, which I know you're a master of too, is the biggest thing in today's society is not money. It's not prestige. It's not perception. It's not Instagram followers. It's authentic connections with people. And the more currency you have with people, the more you can pick up this thing and call someone that's a true friend and say, hey, I have an opportunity or I need your help, is the equatability of your wealth in today's society. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, right? Your net worth is your network, for lack of a better word.
Of
And
course.
have you experienced that in your life?
Very much so. What's funny when you're bringing that up is taking advantage of opportunities. There are still so many things when I was younger that I wish I had not let pass me by. And that is what I try and tell everyone now. I don't care how silly or small or large something may seem. If it sounds fun and it sounds interesting, just do it. I mean,
Yes.
like you said, even if you have to spend $150, $200 on a ticket to go to something,
Yep.
is that $200 worth you potentially making 10, 20, 30, $40,000? If it doesn't, you lost out on $150. You had a great meal, you had a good time, you met some really lovely people. One of those people may down the road turn into a client. So don't pass up on something just because either, oh, I don't really feel like it. You get yourself together and you go to that event and you figure it out. So there's a story I always bring up, sort of similar in the dating realm of
Mm-hmm.
not giving people a chance. Very
Mm-hmm.
much like with PR, I had a gal that I knew who was actively looking to date. I took her to Barry Jackson one year. I said, I have the sweetest guy. He's the opposite of everything that you've dated before. He's very low key, but he's a great guy. I want you to meet him. Well, he had a baseball hat, a t-shirt, and jeans and flip-flops. Meagan, seriously, that's who you want me to talk to? I'm like, trust me, he's so sweet. He has a heart of gold. She's like, I would never date a guy with flip-flops. Okay, sounds good.
Big
Fast forward a
mistake.
couple hours.
Yeah.
He spent about, oh gosh, I would say minimum $200,000-300,000 on cars. She was like, you didn't tell me he was rich. I said, that's not the point. You looked at him and you didn't want to give him a chance
Yeah.
to make a connection and take the money outside of it. What was even more important than that is that potentially you could have had wealth in love and relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not what mattered.
Yeah.
So at least by being open to having a conversation with someone, you never know what could come out of that. And I think that, taking down that wall is really important, and pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, or just literally just wanting to meet somebody new. What are you
Yeah.
going to lose?
Well, another thing you stressed in that story too that I love is, Gary Vaynerchuk really is a big proponent of this. Is I think kindness is also the new currency. There's so many people that lack empathy and lack kindness, and they're not open to helping a wide barrage of people. Obviously, you have limits as to what you can help them with, etc. You have to keep your space and your boundaries in regards to your business or your personal life. But I think being kind to as many people as you can and creating opportunities for other people pays you back 100-fold. What do you think about
Very
that?
much, very much so.
Yeah.
I think that that's something that when we're younger or we're new in business or certain types of industries, you really focus on the monetary value of things. You're focused on what is your bank account, which is absolutely great. I mean,
Yeah.
if someone says they don't like money, you're full of it.
Right.
So, but at that same time, I think that once you're in a position in your life where you're able to recognize, for kind of a silly way to say this, but you're filling up your love bank
Yeah.
also, that by feeling more fulfilled in your kindness to others. Yes, there's opportunities that come from that. There's things that you learn about yourself from that as well. And at the end of the day, the kindness is a value that I think that a lot of us feel empty inside.
Mm.
And continuously trying to practice that. Now,
Yeah.
that may be complimenting someone at the grocery store who wasn't expecting it. Oh, I love that shirt. Oh, thank you. Changing that day with that person is incredibly important, because you would want someone to do the exact same thing to you.
Changing the energy to the positive is really the key to the game, 100%. Now, past the PR component, obviously you had that aspect in your life. We're coming up in the last 19 minutes. How did you get into real estate?
So within all of those industries and being surrounded by multi millionaires, billionaires, and often, passing them off to somebody else to find them a
Mm,
home or sell their home. My husband one day looked at me, he's like, can you stop just throwing commission away, please?
mm,
He's like, you love real estate, you love homes, you love the story they tell, you love interiors, you love potential. You need to focus more on the real estate side. And I was honestly getting sort of back to filling up your kindness
right.
tank with it within you, right? I was getting a little frustrated with some of my clients because they happen to have a lot of money, and in my personal opinion, they weren't doing anything good with it.
Mm,
And that was very frustrating for me. Um, where they were choosing to place their funds, not helping others, not wanting to better the world, and without being the little parrot, never, yo, you're wrong, you shouldn't be doing this.
right.
I just noticed again and again that you have the opportunity to choose who you surround yourself with.
Mm,
And, you have the power to change or get rid of people in your life. If they are not serving you in the ways that are most important, and you don't feel that you're learning anything or teaching them something, and you're not having that ability to grow, it's like the gambler: no one to hold them, no one to fold them, and no one to walk away.
yeah.
So having that ability of recognizing what's no longer serving your purpose, I definitely kind of redistributed which types of clients that I was working with. And so obviously that became, again, them calling me, Megan, I'm working on a new product. I have a new car I'm launching. I'm releasing a new yacht model. You know what? I'm actually not doing that anymore. I can give you a little bit of advice. I'm full time in real estate now. Oh,
Mm,
well, hey, you know what? I think I have a house that I can have you look at for me. I'm really, really interested, or I'm looking to sell this property. I didn't know you were in real estate.
mm,
So it's interjecting little things like that into those conversations transitioned me into real estate. And I love it. I traded one drama for another, but
mm.
this is the kind of drama that I love. Yeah, I love real estate. I love people that end up in the homes, the ones who are happy with what they got from selling their property. It's a whole nother roller coaster,
Yeah.
but it's one that I really love.
So for agents listening in that, may be looking to jump into luxury, right? A lot of people
Right.
ask, how do I get in the luxury market? How do I do this? How do that? The thing I always love to ask people that have been around it and have procured luxury agents, like you sold, or you're in the process of selling, what, a $4 million plus house or something,
Correct.
right? Um, what is the tip that you can give to maybe just someone starting out, right, in that space that wants to jump into luxury? What can they do today to help get closer to that reality, if that makes sense?
So I think something that's definitely important is realizing that when getting into luxury properties, now let's not forget that even three, four, $500,000 properties do have lovely, lovely commissions.
Right.
So don't shy away from opportunities that do come to you. However, if you're wanting to jump into the luxury sector and you have no prior experience in that, or around people that kind of fall into that level of income, like we said, start applying yourself and putting yourself into positions, whether that be events, go to luxury open houses, get to know some of
Yeah.
these agents, get to know some of the people who happen to be in the room. Because a lot of times, if you go to an open house, there are people there that do not have an agent that's representing them either.
Mm,
So, and again, there's definitely some issues that come with the luxury end of things, right? So you are involving yourself with more money. There could be different, caveats and things like that that come into the factor. So back to finding someone and being okay with recognizing that you don't know everything, aligning yourself with someone who is mentor
mm,
type that actually does care about you,
mm.
is wanting to make sure that you do things properly. Education is key. Learn as much as possible in the beginning about what you want in the end game, so that you better protect yourself to begin with. But like I said, I mean, just start walking around, going to events, getting to know people. don't shut yourself off, but do not walk into a room and think, oh, I'm luxury, I know everything, and
Mm,
then make a fool of yourself, because you're more likely to find someone where you're like, what, I'm newer into this realm of properties and real estate, but I really love it and I'm wanting to learn more. You are going to get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
that's funny. I say a very similar thing. You get a lot more done with sugar than you do with vinegar, but it's the same thing.
Yes,
It's you kill them with
absolutely.
kindness and authenticity. And I like I mean, my two big go-tos are you must become what it is you are looking to attract. And so you have to
Mm-hmm.
understand, right? I mean, I love relationships because you can tie it so easily into business, right? How does a woman and a man get together? How does $1 million buyer and $1 million real estate agent get together? It's the dance, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
dance of you're choosing one another based on the subtleties of commonality. And that's what
Right.
a lot of agents don't understand is the human brain. A very interesting book. Have you ever read a book, The Female Brain by Luann Byzantine?
No, but I will add it to my list.
She's a neuropsychiatrist out of UC Berkeley, and she talks about
Okay.
from infancy all the way to death how a woman's brain changes. And she has the same thing for a man. But when people are of certain socioeconomic status, they have certain, inhibitors in their brain where they associate likeness to themselves. And if you look back on any of our millionaire brand creation podcasts, we talk about the importance of subtlety, right? People will make quick, slim, like millisecond judgments on you based on the smallest things. And if you don't pass that judgment call, they're going to go to someone else to do the deal with. And when you're around it, those subtleties become imbued in your personality and the way you carry yourself, right? What are the type of clothes that you wear? What's the kind of watch that you wear? How's your hygiene? How often do you get your hair cut, right? Are your teeth white? How's your smile? How do you interact with
Correct.
others? What are your word choices that you use? What are the stories that you integrate, when you talk to people? How do you talk about your travels and your worldliness or lack thereof? Like all these things are cues that people don't think about. But when you really boil it down, the biggest deals I've ever gotten in my life are like those inches of difference between the commonality I had with a client versus lack of personality wise with someone else who probably was better suited to represent them.
Yeah, actually, that happened to me not long ago. I was at an event and had a girlfriend who she was sort of wanting to get into the PR specter of things, specifically involving automobiles, right?
Mm,
So she said, "I want to go and I want to talk to this guy who is one of the managers at this shop." And she's like, "But I don't know what to say to him. I don't know anything about cars,
mm.
and but I know I want to work in cars." I'm like, "Okay, so this getting a little tricky here, but let me give you a piece of advice, right?" So I said, go up to him, ask him about the model, and say, I don't know much about cars, but I might have someone interested in wanting to buy this. Can you just tell me, like, what are the points here? Like, what makes this different? What makes this so unique? So they had like a 15-minute conversation
Mm-mm.
about this specific vehicle, and then that turned into, he's like, "So what do you do?" "Oh, I'm looking to get into PR. This is my background, kind of, wanting to make a shift. I just love cars so much, and I don't know too much about them. My girlfriend Megan does, and that's who brought me here." And he's like, "Oh, you're Megan's friend. So are you looking for a job?" Next thing you know, she is under their marketing director, and now is successfully working with them.
It's funny.
So
You brought up two things in that story that we've really honed in on in the past 25 episodes or whatever. The first thing I think that you talked about was the integration of asking the right questions and implementing a story, right? Which she did so well based on your coaching, so to speak. The other thing that she did, which you mentioned, is we talk about the importance of social proof. And by saying your name and that gentleman knowing you, liking you, respecting you, that instantly gave her far more credibility than she would have had on her own. And one of the big
absolutely.
things that we touch on, and I think you do it well, probably, unconsciously like I do now, but so many people don't understand this, is how do you interact with celebrity? How do you interact with a high net worth person? How do you interact with someone that interacts with a ton of people? You have to make sure, we've talked about this in the past, that you have social credibility. And the easiest way to do that is by going up to that person and saying, oh, so and so, Christian, wow, you're great. I wanted to meet you, Christian Bale, whatever. Meagan Radigan, she speaks so highly about you. And I had to come over and say hi. And instantly they're going to go, oh, yeah, I know Meagan. Oh, yeah, oh, really? You know
Absolutely.
Meagan? And that spawns the next question, which is 99.9% of the time people ask you if they don't know is, what do you do? Now, here's the answer to your question. I'm sure you haven't gone back and watched previous episodes, but do you know what that question really entails? What do you do? What are people really asking?
You tell me.
Most people take it for face value, right? I'm a realtor,
Hmm.
I'm an
Hmm.
accountant, I'm an influencer, whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? But what they're really asking you is, why should I know you? Why should
Right.
I know you? Why are you more important than the next person that comes up and says hi to me? And when you have that story down, which we've talked about on this podcast so many times, like what's your 15-second pitch? What defines you? What's your authentic self? What is unique about you? What's a hook that's going to make the person ask the next question? Oh, tell me more about that. Like he did with your friend, right? Oh, you're looking for a job. Oh, tell me about your background. That's the hook. When they ask the second question, or a client asks you, oh, you sell real estate. Oh, how did you get into that? You got them right because they want to know more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that, what's really important for people wanting to decipher, do I need marketing or do I need PR?
Mm,
Look into what that means specifically to you and your business, because they're very, very different things. So, for instance, I had someone that I was sort of coaching not long ago and was explaining to them that if a humane society took out an ad in a newspaper, someone would say, oh, well, why are they using their dollars for advertising when it could be going to the puppies, right? So, as an agent, what if you use your marketing money to present an ad for the Humane Society in a magazine? So, you're supporting a cause that's close to your heart, but you're also providing a service to them. Now, the
mm,
PR side of that would be going to get a press release, going to find a news station, local real estate agent puts up money for promotions for the local humane society and your favorite magazine. We're out here with her today. So tell me, why puppies? Why the humane society? Well, when it comes to properties and I see big backyards and all these children are just wanting to find yards for their puppies, there's so many dogs that are worthy of a new home, on and on and on and on, right? So what we're accomplishing here is something that's close to your heart, animals. You're getting your advertising, your press, your PR, and at the same time, you're still bringing knowledge to the original source, which would be the Humane Society, right? So finding ways that fit things that you're passionate about that benefit multiple sources at the same time are ways that your dollars and your time could be better spent. So you don't have to have $50,000 to show up to an event, but by getting creative on how you can best promote yourself within your community. Now, that same situation, something very similar to someone that I was working with, did that. Next thing you know, she's doing 15, 20 million a year because she's selling to farmers because they saw her on the commercial or
whoa.
the advertisement for the Humane Society.
I love
And it's
that.
like, oh, I love dogs too. Well, she just found her niche and now she's dominating the market as far as horses and cows and pets go. So, identifying what it is that you are already previously good at and getting creative with that is very, very important. You're more likely to um, promote yourself better that way, in my opinion, than throwing dollars away at things that don't make sense for you.
And I'll tell you, it's interesting is you hit the nail on a really important topic, right? So many people when they get in, like I'm going to throw all this money and get my face in the magazine, right? You see all these
Right.
bad ads that are like so and so 150 million sold. Who gives a fuck? I mean, who really
Right.
cares? No one cares
Right.
about your production. No one cares about how rich you are. But what you did that was brilliant in that antidote, which I love, is it's the power of collaboration. It's the power of truly being benevolent and kind and helping an organization bigger than yourself. And it's the power of bringing multiple entities together and leveraging a bigger name and you attaching yourself to that name on the back end. And what people don't realize is you get way more eyes and more
Absolutely.
admiration and more, experience, when you deflect the sunlight away from yourself and put it on everyone else, it comes back and gets redirected to you. I love that. I love what you just said.
Absolutely.
You have another
Yep.
example of that to share with the audience?
Well, what I think is really important is when someone comes to you and they say like, "Oh, I want PR." What does PR mean to you, right? So the thing that is happening today is that traditionally you could find a PR company or you could find a marketing company. But now the evolution of social media has changed so much that there is a lot that you are able to do yourself,
Mm,
and finding ways to better allocate funds and your time. So what's most important is finding that balance between the two. Is you want to be busy, right? But you don't want to be so busy that you're grinding yourself to the ground and you're not able
right.
to serve yourself, your clients, and others. So that balance is definitely key, and you have to have patience. You can't just show up and decide that in the next 30 days I'm going to be having $120,000 commission come through. Sometimes that does happen. It's not unheard of, but you have to have patience and you have to give yourself grace throughout the entire process. It's very, very important.
Now, you being in that space, and obviously with stories that you just told, knowing how the system works extremely well, how can these agents become their own PR gurus in today's society where they can become influencers? They can, create robust followership on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. What are some tricks that they can do now to make it, more eyes on them and more eyes on what they're trying to curate?
So I definitely think, like we said, mentors always need mentors, right? So people always need to be evolving and educating themselves. Now, we are lucky enough these days where we can have the opportunity to follow people, ask others that are doing what you're wanting to do. So although I'm no longer doing full PR packages, I gladly take on people that'll say, I want to sit down with you for an hour. Can you just give me a little bit of guidance? Because
Mm,
every single person and every single business is completely different. So there's some basics that apply to PR within things that you can do on your own, which I absolutely
what
encourage
can they do?
to,
That's what everyone wants to
yeah.
know.
What can they do?
Give
What
us the
can they do?
gold.
Oh, what is the gold? Okay, so it changes so much from person to person. So definitely what I would say is being comfortable with things that you aren't traditionally comfortable with, because at the
Mm,
end of the day, marketing is social media. There's no way around it anymore. So utilizing social media and having the confidence to create content that you actually genuinely enjoy
mm,
and finding a way to tie that into your end game. That's
mm,
very, very important. But again, what you can do immediately is find someone who is willing to spend an hour or 45 minutes with you and just put you on a path. And you have to recognize that that path requires growth. So if someone gives you a game plan and says, if this is the industry that you're in, or you're the gal with the great hair, or you're the guy that always has the cool suit, let's try and apply ourselves to these types of places, these types of things. What are you doing to create your own brand? You have to be confident in yourself first and what your brand is from the beginning.
yeah.
Because the more that you change that, the more often people think that you're unaware of yourself and you're not confident within yourself. So why would you be confident in handling their business,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I think establishing what your brand is or you want it to be and being authentic about your progress as well to getting to where you want to be and how that can help others reach their goals as well.
I like
So,
that.
I mean, like I said, it changes from business to business. I
Yeah.
wish there was one lovely nugget. So yeah, anyone that wants to reach out to me and, give me their 15-minute, their second elevator pitch on what it is that they think that they are and how to better help that grow within them personally, but also their career.
Well, it's almost three R's, right? Real, raw, relevant. If it's a problem in your life, 9 times out of 10, it's probably a problem in someone else's life, right? And I
Sure.
always thought, if I'm thinking about this more than 2 or 3 days, I should probably post about it, make a video about it, or do something about it. Because I guarantee you, other people are feeling this as well, right?
Right.
And how do you keep tying that into your brand? I think it's consistency. And it's funny
It
because
it has to be consistency. So for
consistency,
instance, say that you're the hair is your thing. You're the one everyone
right?
compliments your hair, right? Oh, you have the most beautiful hair. Okay, well then I want to see in your photos. All right, well everyone knows that this beautiful house that we have listed for X, Y, and Z, this square footage. Now let's go to the most important part where I wash my hair. Let's go take a look at this mat. Like let's go look at this primary bathroom. And that kind of thing. And every single time it's like, well, what is this bathroom going to look like?
Yeah.
Finding ways around that. You're the dog guy. All right, let's check out this backyard. 10 out of 10 bones. What's the rating? There's, sticking to
Mm.
those kind of those things that your message is consistent. So consistency is very, very important. But also, you have to get creative, and sometimes you have to get a little goofy, and that's
Yes.
okay, because if you're
Yes.
confident in it, someone else is going to recognize that.
And here's the thing that I realized too is riches are in niches, and the more you niche down into who you truly are and your authentic self, it doesn't matter. And I remember my business partner RC. I don't know if you've met him before. He's the tax guru guy, but he had a very interesting thing. He was telling me, he's like, what I realized in my business is when I stopped trying to be the lover of all people and stopped trying to get everyone to like me, and really focused on having 90 people not care about anything that I'm doing, but those 10% love everything that I'm curating and talking about, and those are the people paying me the big bucks, my business started to blow up. And I think too many
Absolutely.
people are trying to be the jack of all trades and master of none. Oh, I sell this house in Avondale and Ahwatukee and Mesa and Tempe and da da da. No, you're not. You're good at one thing. What is the thing that you are good at? Define it and make sure people know about that, right? And I realize,
Absolutely.
your story is so tied, whether you like it or not, to your mom, to your stepdad, to your dad, to you being in the PR business. And that's a one big leg up. And, Lisa, Steven, Deborah, all the people listening in, Ann, Brennan, all these people have those little nuggets that's unique to themselves that they need to pull out. Like the 10 out of 10 bones thing, the dog thing. I love that. The more you
Yes.
can humanize what it is that you are passionate about, or like the car rating, like do you watch YouTube at all?
Yes.
Have you ever watched Doug DeMuro?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, what he created with a camera and a t-shirt and shorts is mind-blowing, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Doug score and interviewing all these different cars, and I watch it all the time. I mean, if he
Yeah.
comes out and and does some car, I'll spend 30 minutes like looking at this stupid car that I have no interest in buying because his
Right.
brand is consistent and it's exciting.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it blows me away that I mean, you had so many good nuggets here. So two things before we go. One, if they want to follow you or get in contact with you, what's the best way they can do that?
So Instagram at Meagan Radigan, Meaganradigan, or Meagan at radigangroup.com is my email. I'm more than happy to sit down with anybody and chat and work on those little nuggets and how I can help in any way.
Love that. And then last but not least, if you could summarize a takeaway from what you taught today, what you learned today, what's something that the people listening in can take with them, what would you leave us with?
Would definitely have to say authenticity is key. We often get caught up in trying to create something of ourselves that we think others want to see or will make us more successful. And honestly, at the end of the day, if you aren't true to yourself and true to others, it'll just backfire. So maintaining your integrity and your originality is very, very important. It'll get you quite far, and not having the fear to be yourself. That's incredibly important.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time and happy
You're
birthday.
so
Wish everyone a
welcome.
happy
Thank
birthday from
you.
Meagan. And hope you
Thank
guys have
you
a
so much.
wonderful week and reach out and follow Meagan because I'll tell you, I was so excited to have you join my team because I love what you're curating with luxury branding. And I love that these nuggets can be duplicatable with other agents and other entrepreneurs
Absolutely.
looking to blow out their business. So have a great week. Follow Meagan. If you guys have any questions, DM her and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Let's see if I can do this outro. Up, up. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know. There we go.